I really want to start by saying sincere apologies for coming slightly behind schedule due to some circumstances beyond our control. Welcome to another edition of Africa Discourse. I am Wilson Marshall. Today, it is all about the appeal by President Muhammadu Buhari to U.S. military headquarters in charge of Africa. They call it Africom here, to relocate from Germany to Africa. And maybe this was occasioned by the advice given to the presidency by Olusegun saying, look, it's high time you called for help. Is this what really helped Africa, especially in the Sahel region, or the Shell Sahel region, to really combat insurgency? When you talk about insurgency, you have the ISWAP, you have the Boko Haram, you have the Al-Qaeda link, you have so many other terrorist groups terrorizing various countries in this continent, Africa. People like saying, if you're really here to help us as a continent, how come your headquarters is in Germany? Why not bring it down to Africa so I can feel the pulse, you can feel the heat of the battle? Maybe, just maybe, that will just make you have a rethink. All these and more we'll take a look at today's installment of Africa Discourse. With me here in the studio, I have a lecturer and, of course, a clergyman, all the way from Uniben, from the College of Medical Sciences. Yeah. Jimmy, welcome, Honorable Frank Amigo. Welcome to Africa Discourse, and I really appreciate your coming.
Thank you, Wilson.
Yeah. Okay, so here we are. An appeal has been made after so much have been put in the fight against insurgents, against insurrection, against extremist groups in Africa, especially in the West Africa region. And now we are calling on the U.S. to bring the military HQ, headquarters in charge of Africa, to come to Africa. How do you feel about all this?
Well, Wilson, I'll tell you the truth. It's better we create a background for this matter. If you just rush into, if you rush into the counsel of Professor Wole Soyinka to the President of Nigeria, we might begin to bring in some sentiments, and those sentiments will not be very necessary. And if we create a background to this talk, the meeting ahead on the 27th of April, the virtual meeting with the Secretary of State, this background is necessary on the heels of what happened in 2015, some weeks after President Muhammadu Buhari became President of Nigeria, that he was preparing to go to the U.S. to ask for some form of help, because before he became president, Boko Haram or all these insurgents, they have been on ground. So he had in mind, that was when he spoke with the Secretary of State, Anthony J, I forgot his surname.
Yeah.
So he discussed with him in Abuja, Nigeria, and that was preparatory towards going to the U.S. And when he finally got to the U.S., it was the then President Obama was the president, while this present president was a vice president. Joe Biden was a vice president then. So they sympathized with the people of Nigeria, and they tried to emulate, in quote, initial form of integrity or the way Buhari had been before he became president. So they wanted to leverage on that to address insurgency, and the most problematic part we're having in Nigeria is corruption. And fighting insurgency is difficult because of corruption, and as we all know that in Nigeria. So that was the background. And as he spoke with the then President Obama, Vice President Biden was also in audience. All of them had interactions. So the question now, why would our president now be speaking with the Secretary of State in 2021? If he wanted to speak with the former vice president, which is the present president, Joe Biden, he would have had free access. He couldn't have access to even the vice president. Not talk about Joe Biden himself. It's the Secretary of State that he had to interact with on a virtual meeting. I watched the thing live. I was embarrassed. Because the background the Secretary of State gave showed it all. And the way our minister, what he even said was funny to me. He said, Mr. President will join us in the next 2 seconds. I started counting. I'm a teacher. Second number 1, second number 5, the 10th second or thereabout, that was when the president showed up. A matter like this, of urgent importance, the next thing the president started laughing. He started laughing. Was that what? We haven't having a virtual meeting. That we should have had with the president of U.S. And president of U.S. In November last year, I had a phone call with president of South Africa. Then in March this year, that of Kenya and the Democratic Republic of Congo, they spoke on phone. So why couldn't our president have direct access to Joe Biden or through the vice president? Not talking about the Secretary of State. So what went wrong? I want to ask you now. This was what went wrong. They saw that initially when some weeks after PMB became president of Nigeria, he got to U.S., they expressed concerns on how to resolve his resurgency and all that. But now, between 2015 and now, they now saw that our president was not really serious.
Well,
there was no demonstrable seriousness.
You cannot say that it's not serious in the fight against insurgents.
That's why I qualified it. Okay. Demonstrable seriousness.
Okay.
And if you don't also mind, there was a kind of show of lack of competence towards arresting the insurgency. That's why I'm thinking that if American president didn't want to speak with any African president, he would have called South African president in November last year, and in March this year, that of the president of Congo and Kenya. He spoke with them. So how would you send a junior officer to a president of a country? Then they would have lost some form of respect. That there is no sign that this insurgency will be abated. So the president of America is that smart, he would have been advised. So he would listen to wise counsel. So in his wisdom, this way it is now, while I was vice president, this president came to meet my boss, the then President Obama.
Barack Obama.
We knew what we put in, all the assurances we gave him. And between 2015 and now, nothing palpable. Even with a telescope, not foreseeable as to how and why and when this matter of insurgents will be resolved. So the meeting that I had on the 27th, that was last week of April, it didn't last more than 8 seconds, 8 minutes. It didn't last more than 8 minutes. And we lost about 15 seconds, about 10 seconds waiting for the arrival of our dear president. Then the next 2 seconds, our president laughing. You can show it on screen here now. Started laughing. This is a serious matter. You want to discuss with the president, you couldn't have access. You couldn't have access to the vice president. Now they sent a delegation. They started laughing. So it's not a funny thing. So that laughter to me means so much. At a point of urgent matter discussion, you'll be laughing. You don't laugh at that point. You show all forms of seriousness. To the point that this matter I brought before you as a nation, American nation, please help me to resolve it. That you are not asking for the Africom to be located in Africa. It shouldn't be Germany. They are bringing settlement. If the American president knew the seriousness we're having, they would have long on their own brought it.
All right, now you just hold it now. Now, you talked about sentiment because of the request by our beloved President Muhammadu Buhari appealing to the U.S. government to please move Africans from Germany to Africa as a continent. Is that a bad request?
It's not bad. That's what I'm hammering on sentiments.
Yeah.
That thing was given to our president on a platter of gold in 2015. That we have resolved as a nation to help you and the country you represent to fight insurgency.
Don't forget about the condition given to our then President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan during the time of Barack Obama.
Obama
is that what is playing out right now?
It's not playing out because President former President Goodluck Jonathan was on good terms with Obama because of American policies on gay and all that.
Yes.
President Jonathan didn't want to accept any of them. So it was as if PNB was disposed towards having such a thing. So immediately he got into power, he spoke with the Secretary of State, and that paved way for his movement to U.S. to see President Barack Obama. And he did see him. Even the now President Joe Biden was the Vice President. They all met together. So why is it now that he can't have access to them on a very important matter like this?
All right, now what is a sentiment or is all about? You talked about this is sentimental. How is it sentimental? Knowing fully well that according to some reports in some parts of Africa, they are drowning in insurgents. As in talking about the attacks is like frequent to the extent that in some part of Africa, these insurgents, these extremists, they've been able to capture a sizable number of hamlets, of villages, towns, cities.
Well, the sentiment I'm trying to, we should avoid is back in 2015, the U.S. wanted to help. And they started following. If you're going to promise me, you knew my predicament, you call me for a meeting, that you assist me in 1, 2, 3 areas. Then, when the time came for that promise to materialize, you now got to know that between the first time we met and now, I never did anything reasonable towards attracting that money you promised me. And very likely you will not give it. So the American people, they are very smart. They won't give you a thing if there's no feedback. Look at the feedback we gave to them. Former, what's his name, CAS, Chief of Army Staff, Burata, and some others that have been charged with war crimes now, were given soft landing. It should at them. So American people will watch that. So you voted money into defense, and the money never manifested in defense. They'll be watching you. So if really the money you voted for defense was channeled towards the right cause, you will be asking them to bring Africom to Africa.
But then, according to a report, it was turned towards the right cause, it was given to the military. How they spent it, maybe it's not what they expected. But the money, according to the report, was given to that particular sector to fight insurgency.
Listen, don't drag us away from accountability.
Yeah.
If you collected money from any government agency, there's an opportunity for you to retire it. Was it retired? It's at the point of retirement you can assess. There's auditing. And they didn't do any of this. They didn't. Why the urgent call, urgent need that Africom should come to Africa? Did Mr. President of Nigeria find out the details of the calls to the presidents of the of Congo, that of Kenya, and last year that of South Africa? They didn't find out. Were these things discussed before our president said all this? If the president of America knew why our president wanted to speak with him, and is going to be along this line of bringing Africom to Africa, it would just say to be an afterthought. Because other presidents of Africa would have discussed it. Because the insurgency is ravaging the whole of Africa. So they would have discussed it. Kenya, Congo, and South Africa, they would have discussed it. Our president should have taken cue from the outcome of those discussions. They maybe create a part 2 of the discussion, not to come up publicly in 8 minutes. We wasted our resources in 8 minutes. Because in his opening remarks, the Secretary of State, he gave a long opening remarks that you could recall that we met sometime in 2015. Drag you down memory lane. Because what you're going to discuss, maybe they preempted it. What you're going to discuss was discussed in 2015. So why the sudden resurrection of that matter again? Is it sudden, knowing fully that from, let's say, 2021 to 2015 is like 6 years, 5 years plus 6 years or thereabout? Is that sudden? I thought we were going to say 6 years. Is that 6 hours? Is that sudden? How many lives we have lost in these 6 years? Unaccounted for. And we are told to calm down. They have decimated Boko Haram. They have done all sort of things. But nothing from the eyes of the international community, nothing is being done. That's why I can make bold to say that there's a public show of incompetence of the federal government trying to fight insurgency. You can also recall previous statements made by a former president before he became president. The PMB, before he became president, some of his statements tended to support insurgency.
Hold on, because
it's
he refuted those statements.
Which is very easy to say.
About the baboon and the rest of them. He refuted it, saying he never said it. So let's leave it at that.
If you quote me now, I can still refute it.
No. He said he never said it. So let's leave it at that.
Okay, at this moment, let's leave it like that.
At this moment. Now, let's take a look at Africom.
Yeah.
Where is the headquarters ought to be of Africom? What was it designed for? The U.S. military responsible or in charge of Africa as a continent. Is Africa in Germany?
Well, maybe I'm sure you would have asked a question in your own mind before you asked me this. Where did the resources come from to form Africom? Is it a joint contribution by all African countries? So if we're not in no way contributory to the formation of Africom, how dare you not ask where it should be located? They want to help you. The person that is trying to help you is to draw out the thing, to outline it, and is to help you. You cannot place a demand. That's why the President Muhammadu Buhari is appealing. It's not a thing of right that we want Africom in Africa, because anything Afri is like Africa. It's not American. So it should be brought to... So American people can decide. America is far away from Europe.
Yeah.
So if they saw the need to move it to Germany, they knew why they did that. So if our president is asking that should be brought closer, bring it closer to me makes little or no difference. What matters is if a restaurant is located in your home or the restaurant is on your street, what matters to you is, does the food get to the table? If you want American people to help us, they can help us. They can still come from America. Africom would have been in America. But they decided, for reasons best known to them, in their own wisdom, to locate it in Germany. I don't know why yet. But it's not a right of African leaders to say, bring it, come and locate it in Nigeria or in South Africa.
All right. Well, now you also now want to go for a break. When we return, we're going to continue with this discussion. Africom, is it for Africa or for people that really formed Africom? He talked about contributory money being used to set up that body. But what is the purpose of Africom? If they're out there in Germany, we'll be able to know what is happening on the ground in Africa. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Thank you so much for staying tuned to this channel. If you just joined us, this is Africa Discourse. We're taking a look at the fight against terrorism in Africa. U.S.A. military role is all about Africom. All right, because our beloved President Muhammadu Buhari made an appeal to the U.S. government to please relocate Africom HQ to Africa. After all, the purpose is for military base, yes, in charge of Africa. Overseeing Africa to see where they can come in to do one or two things to make Africa a better continent, rather than being out there. Why not come in to be there on the ground, to know or to have first-hand information on what is really going on, and still contribute meaningfully, constructively, and of course timely in the fight against insurgents. With me here in the studio, it's a lecturer, a clergyman, political analyst, Honorable Frank Amega. Yes, Africom. The question before we went on that break is, what is it meant for? If the purpose is to oversee what is happening in Africa by the U.S. military, is it not right for it to be in Africa?
The rightness or wrongness of the location of Africom now by us in Africa to be discussing, I think is a sign that we are not grateful to the American people. It was the wisdom.
We are not grateful in what sense?
Yeah, I'm going to say that because they, in their wisdom, decided to create such a platform to help us. It wasn't our right or our demand that they should create that on our behalf. No, it wasn't. Now they did that. And they decided to locate it in Germany. Back then in secondary school days, we were taught in economics location of industry, localization of industry, that there are factors affecting either of them. So the American army would have noticed that the location of such an outfit should be in Germany, maybe for geographical purposes, so that they were able to launch into the affairs taking place in Africa. Recall again, in 2015, I will take us back memory lane. This was what was given to us free of charge. Is a thing we are now begging for again.
It was given to us free of charge. Why is it not here?
No, not the Africom to come to Africa. That they were ready to help fight insurgency.
And who stopped them from coming? Who stopped them from coming?
The government of Nigeria did not create that enabling environment for them to come in. When you make a report as a broadcaster here, for instance, the next thing you see a red card by the NBC that you are speaking against the government. And those things they are flagging us for, that we are speaking against the government, is the same information they are hearing, they are seeing in America. So you can't give them a card in America. So what you don't want Nigerians to talk about in Nigeria, outside Nigeria, they will talk about it freely. They can freely talk about any country of the world. Right here, they have no right over us. So what you are preventing us from speaking about, the obvious truth that people are seeing every day, truth personified. Now, government agencies will want us to swallow those things and never make a mention of it. So the American president, Joe Biden, before he became president, has had knowledge about insurgency in Nigeria and by extension in Africa. So for us to not be begging that they should bring it to Africa, they'll be laughing at us. Because it was a determined effort, deliberately, to make sure that Africa was safe. Because they have interest, vested interest in Africa. And Nigeria, the way it's located on the map of Africa, is like a gun turned the other way. It's like the trigger part. If you turn the map of Africa, Nigeria is like under the trigger part of it. So a lot of things happen in Nigeria, and no wonder we are the giant of Africa, whether living giant or dead giant, but we are still the giant of Africa. And most of the things needed by these Western nations, they are deposited naturally in African continent. So they are interested. So now, for them in America to have that outfit, Africom, is to indirectly protect their interest. If they had brought the Africom to Africa before now, that agency would have survived. Because there will be lies here and there. There are lies, so much lies in Nigeria.
But don't you think that if they had been able to strip the truth from the lie, like a sieving mechanism, you are here on the ground, not by hearsay, not a social media report. You are here in the continent, on the ground. You have this extension to various countries in the continent. At least you have the raw data of reports. Do you think that is better?
The physical presence of Africom in Africa makes little or no difference.
How?
The owner of these outfits, independent radio and TV, does not have to be with us in this studio. Where His Excellency is, he can get reports. He can feel the pulse of every bit of anything happening here.
But ITV is on the ground.
Yes, it doesn't have to be here.
But Africom is not on the ground.
If a thing is needed here now,
yes,
the director of ITV knows what to do to give information to the owner of this outfit. So Africom does not necessarily have to be in Africa. What Mr. President should have asked for is help. You asked for help, not to prescribe the help. Please, could you help me? Sequel to our discussion in 2015.
But still, that is a way of asking for help.
No, that's not it.
Because you know, if that presence is in any country in Africa, that place will be secured. At least that locality will be secured.
You are asking for something from a wiser person. If I'm going to ask you now for help, I'll ask you this help like this. That I have challenges about money. I don't have enough money. That's on one leg. On the other leg, I say, give me 500,000 naira. Then I will call for questions and say, what do you need money for? I want to buy a car. How much do you have? I say, I don't have money. So what platform have you created in your own country towards the fight against insurgency? That question has to be answered. So it's not by openly appealing, cap in hand, appealing, brings Africa to Africa. What have you contributed towards alleviating the suffering and plight of people in Nigeria. Nothing is done. We will hear of Boko Haram placing flags in Yobe, in Niger, in that. What have you done about it? A lot of persons have been indicted that they have a hand in the sponsorship or the aiding and abetting of these insurgents. What have you done about it? So our bringing Africom to Africa will mean nothing other than to create more problems.
All right, now you just saw it now. Now you talked about it called Ramaphosa of South Africa.
In November last year.
November, called Uhuru Kenyatta of Kenya. And of course, I reached out to DR Congo, or the Democratic Republic of
That
Congo.
was
in March.
Yeah.
Fine. Now he spoke to these people. Now let's take Nigeria out of the picture.
Yeah.
The other thing apart from Nigeria, these countries that they reach out to, don't think they have the ability to host African.
They can.
If you're saying that Nigeria, because of something that is happening here, maybe because of a situation or the other, and they just can't be in Nigeria, what about other bases, other countries in Africa?
Mind you,
yes,
that discussion, that virtual discussion, meeting 27th of last month. Of April. That meeting was supposed to be with the President of America. So the Secretary of State now will have to move that information to the President. And you know the funniest part of it now? As that meeting will be going on, Joe Biden will be listening. I'll be watching. So this was the same man. When I was Vice President, my boss, it was given a kind of a royal welcome to the White House. Salvation has come to Nigeria. Little did they know that there was no S in it, no A in it, no Sean, nothing about it. So now, the same president is now begging us. And attempt to beg us, laughing. It matters to me as a person. I'm a stakeholder. You are a stakeholder. You're going to beg someone for something. I said, Mr. Wilson, I'm going to come to your house for an urgent help. Then I knocked, you opened the door, and I started laughing. I'll embarrass you.
Well, the thing is that it depends on the nature or the intent of the laugh.
I saw it, I watched it.
Someone can be laughing, but deep down be like, things are not like, easy. Though the person is laughing.
It's a sign of a seriousness.
Okay, fine. Now, if you remove, the question is coming back again to you. Yes. Remove Nigeria from the picture. Yes. Okay, fine. No Nigeria in this arrangement. We want to bring Africom to Nigeria. What about countries like South Africa,
yes,
Kenya, Rwanda, Ghana, Egypt? Nigeria, what about those other countries?
It's not binding on America to answer yes to what our president has asked them. It's an appeal. They were not mandated. They are not going to be mandated. So that appeal of last week with the Secretary of State to be transmitted to President Joe Biden will have to be considered against other discussions that Joe Biden has had with other African presidents. And it is possible. Maybe some other occasions can have it to estray what he discussed with these three presidents. And to shock you to know, part of security of Africa would have been discussed. Because a good leader, first of all, is having the impression of how to create good welfare for his followers. Once the welfare is there, any other thing can follow. Either social welfare or whatever form of welfare. Once that is ensured, you can have a fair ground to operate. So I'm sure those three presidents would have discussed the security of Africa. So it's not left for us, you and I, to find out what they discussed. And if Africom was part of it, there's no need for our meeting of last week. It was an afterthought.
All right. Some of the opinion that is because the U.S. is afraid.
Of Nigeria?
They're afraid of the situation in Africa, talking about the insurgents in some countries in Africa, hence they're afraid to place the headquarters in Africa. They don't think there's an element of truth in that comment, that you guys are scared.
Africa is the poorest continent in the world. And for you to move such a platform, an outfit, Africom, from Germany to the poorest, you will consider it. If you want to sow a seed, you sow a seed on a fertile ground. If we move Africom from Germany to Africa that is having security challenges, our men and materials will be wasted. How will we be able to monitor the intentions we earlier had?
But they never hesitated to go into Libya. Have you forgotten?
Libya is
they went into Libya. It's part of Africa.
But they can't move it to Libya. You can't even go to Libya. But it's better for them to launch out from Germany or outside US. That shows fairness. I want to help Africa. So everything is lying within me. So they moved this to Europe. Not even in Canada or nearby. To Europe. Let's watch it from there. I'm sure an agreement will have been reached with the German authority with conditions laid out for the acceptance of that Africom. And that's the best place. It's just like what you erect a mast. You don't call on the GSM companies, come and erect a mast in my compound. They would have from satellite known that this is a place, this location will help in the reception and transmission of calls. So they knew that that was the right place, that if there's any major war outbreak in Africa, and Africom is in Africa, how are you going to survive it? You have your cooking gas, you have your petrol, you have everything in one room, and you're going to sleep in that room. That's a suicidal thing. So let's put, I'm thinking for them now, let's put Africom far off. From there, we'll launch into Africa, which requires some bits of wisdom. So if Africom has been in Africa all this while, Boko Haram would have bombed it. There would have been war between those people there and the insurgents.
Sure? Are you sure? Although even after, let's take a look at your hypothesis now. Maybe you're correct about the attack of Africom if they are on African soil. I don't think that will even trigger the U.S. to really fight some more against insurgency. Rather than backing out, running away to Germany, as if they're like, scared of these insurgents from tampering with what they're trying to build.
They're not scared.
If they're not scared, why are they not here?
If I have a child, I don't like the way the child is behaving, they now begged you and help me take care of this child, and I begin to give you conditions, how would you feel? These are presidents, elected or selected as the case may be. You have the sole responsibility to protect the integrity, the welfare, the security of the people you are leading. And you have failed in your responsibilities. And now you're going to give conditions to your helper on what to do? That can't happen in America. America is not a state you can just with one finger say, come over here. That's not the case. They will consider several things. I'm thinking, though I don't have a proof now, why Joe Biden did not have a meeting, not even a phone call, with our president on this matter. I'm sure at that level, if you're going to have a meeting with a president, you would have submitted a document that want us to discuss ABC as time XYZ. So the White House would have looked at it. This was what? Say, okay, bring that file. They brought the file. That was the matter we're discussing there now. Harris, no, I won't go. Okay, Secretary of State, no, that's your job. Go and attend to him. That in itself is an affront on us as Africans. A president wants to discuss the president. You now send the secretary. That's an insult. But to us, we took that with a pinch of salt.
But the secretary is a scribe of any organization.
It's
a scribe of any organization, a country, you just name it.
Nigerian president should have sent our SGF, Secretary of Government of Federation, secretary to secretary, let them discuss. How can our president be discussing with the secretary? This is a sovereign nation. And he came laughing. That's why I'm laughing now. It's a serious matter.
All right. Yeah. Now, let's take a look at Africa as a continent. What if, peradventure, Afghan is like located to South Africa, or better, Rwanda? What about Kenya? At least this region they have relative amount of peace. That will bring, this sigh of relief, so to speak, to Africa as a continent, knowing fully well that U.S. presence, we talk about military wise right now, is in Africa.
If you allow me, I go back to it again. You're asking for help. You're not to dictate to your helper how to help you.
If you want to help me, won't you come and know my condition?
Let American government.
No. If you really want to come and help someone, if you really want to help someone, You should know the person's conditions. Now, how would the person control without you being in the same environment with the person? How would you find out the truth?
If you are an American and you're a Nigerian, I would have asked for apology, unreserved apology.
Why?
You're asking if they really wanted to help. America wanted to help. That's why they set up Africom. Not that if they really wanted to help.
Are they happy right now?
They are happy.
How?
If they are not happy, why would our president be asking for them to come? Because they know very well that they can help. So if you're going to ask for help, I'll tell you that, I'm hungry. They now know what to do. If I say, I'm hungry, give me 1 million naira. I say, my friend, you don't live here. So now just tell the American people, sequel to 2015 discussion. Now we are sorry. Now come and help us. So it should be the wisdom of the American people to say, okay, the best way, let's calculate, the best way to help Africa, and particularly Nigeria, let's move Africom. They have to decide that. We shouldn't be calling on them as if we are calling roadside soldiers. You're not going to prescribe or what you will need from your helper. If your helper asks you, what actually do you need? They have not asked us. Of course, in a short while from now, we will hear from the President of America whether or not that will be accepted. We're going to get feedback because if you're going to come to Africa, as you try saying it now, it might come to some kind of peaceful places like Kenya, Rwanda. It can come near there. And if it comes to Kenya, with the neighboring countries, would they be safe enough? There are a lot of calculations that should be done. Because such capital-intensive project should not be thrown like that into Africa. Because you can't guarantee security. Like if they bring it to Nigeria, for instance, as it's landing in Nigeria, that's the end.
Now, well, you're not sure of that.
Insurgency.
You're not sure of that because, come on, we're talking about the U.S. military here.
Just yesterday,
who would dare to attack them?
They said the ANEC office in Akwa Ibom ablaze. Who are going to hold responsible? Burning down police stations. Policemen running away. The man that will secure your life is running away. So you want to bring a foreign entity. It's an on your thing, on your own.
Okay. Now you said they are considering it. If ever they will consider it, what do you think will be the next move right now of the U.S. government? Because it's an appeal. It's like our president is now the mouthpiece of Africa saying, please bring this to our continent. Do you see them doing it?
Yeah, they will do that premised on the way we are prepared for it. We commonly say that you don't ask a question unless you know what to do with the answer. So you don't ask for the relocation from Germany first without considering the inconveniences, without considering the previous agreements America and Germany reached, that the thing will span for, let's say, 20 years, and now we have done 2 years. What about that breach of agreement? That's to be considered. That's number one. Number two, what guarantee are you going to give that if we move Africom from Germany to Africa, what guarantee are you going to give? Knowing full well that anytime from now you're going to leave office. Are there proper policies in place? In Nigeria, for instance, you wake up with one policy, the next day is another policy. A government official will say a thing today, the higher government official will tell you that that thing was misleading. So there's no concrete focus that we're having in Nigeria. And maybe for some other parts of Africa, they may have a formidable policy that can attract. It's not like you want to get a grant. You need to attract it. They'll assess all that you have, whether you can really have what you're asking for. It's a request. Let it not be because Professor Wale Soyinka said, let's get help from outside. Then, okay, how do we get help from outside? Let's go and bring Africom. It's for Africa. That's not sufficient. You start something on ground first. If the military, you are trying to reform them, the police, you start something first. People can demand for something else.
But they've started already fighting insurgents in Chad,
they are robbing insurgents
in Central African Republic, even in some parts of Ethiopia, the Eastern Bloc, the Western Bloc, the Southern Bloc, even the Northern Bloc. ASUS is doing a great job. Is that not enough to attract the presence of Africom to Africa?
All this while, Africom has been in Germany. Why the sudden appeal that should come? What should be the case? What happened last week? President Muhammadu Buhari and the U.S. Secretary of State. That meeting should have been between AU and UN. That gives a robust view. Not one person coming representing the country. Let there be a representation of the continent with the United Nations. We know to a large extent US controls UN. But let it come on that platform. They don't listen to us better. So there'll be nothing personal about it.
All right.
So we are asking for help now. Have you helped yourself in Nigeria? There's no help here. Forthcoming. People are being, just last week I read, I used to hear of ransom. Now they're calling levy. It's levy now. So if it's ransom, it's one off, you pay it and go. Levy, maybe it's reviewable. Today is 1,000, tomorrow you pay your levy. It's a levy now. It was carried by almost all the Nigerian newspapers. So you are not doing anything about it. Then you're asking for help. If I have a 50 kg object to carry and it's very heavy for me, my posture will determine whether you're going to help me lift it or not. If I just use my leg and say, come over here, carry this object. So excuse me. But there's a way I will fold my sleeves, squat, attempt to carry it. I said, young man, no, never mind. I'll get a crane to help you with this. But now the posture Nigeria is taking is not in any way asking for any help. You say with your mouth, but your action is different.
How do you mean? Come on, we are asking for help. We've gone across the globe seeking help to end insurgency, to end terrorism, and the next line is to ask for Africom to be in Africa.
Have you forgotten that we're always borrowing money?
Anyway, that'll be a
the money we're always borrowing, there's no one project the money is used for.
Anyway, well, since we're not there when they're like, this person not using the money, let's leave it at that. Another day on this platform, we're talking about that African borrowing spree and the rest of that. Well, our time is up. I really want to appreciate a wonderful analysis.
Thank you.
I really thank you for your analysis. Let's see if the U.S. will listen by relocating Africom. Yeah, talking about the military HQ headquarters responsible in overseeing Africa as a continent. Think about it, having that base in Germany, and of course, you're talking about Africa. Is that maths correct? Does it make sense? Don't you think it's high time they came to Africa to be on the ground, to feel what we are feeling in order for them to fight insurgency with Africa? You're laughing. Anyway, that'll be story for another day. Bye for now.